Dot here, and thank you for joining me on Ink on 3. We're going to have a little fun with some of the Ink on 3 inks. As you can see, we have a new ink called Atelier, and Atelier is a French word meaning artist workshop, and that's exactly what this ink is. It's an artist workshop in one ink. I'm going to be using the Happy Places stamp set from Unity Stamp. It's super cute. They make amazing stamps, and I wanted to color some little blue birds with our Peacock Blue Atelier artist grade fusion ink, and we're going to do some watercoloring with it. So I'm using a Misty stamping tool, and I'm placing my 3 little birds, and I'm using some Bristol smooth mixed media paper. It works great for watercoloring. And I did take out the foam insert from the Misty because the rubber stamps are a little thicker than the clear stamps. I'm going to get my ink on with the Blackout Detail ink. It's a great ink because it's very detailed, it's very black, but it's permanent, so it works great on so many surfaces, and it's not going to smear when I watercolor with it. It's going to keep its black color really nicely, and it also works for Copic markers. I just love these little birds and thought it would be so fun to color some little bluebirds with the Atelier Peacock Blue. I lost a little tiny bit of my footage, and all that was missing, and you'll see me do this on the next bird, is I first used just clean clear water, and I saturated the little bird's head with clear water. Don't oversaturate it. It's just enough water to give a glisten to the top of the paper. If you add too much water, you're going to have a lot less control of what you're watercoloring. So once I did the clean clear water, I dipped into my Atelier ink pad, directly into the ink pad with my water brush pen, and I'm also working with an almost dry water brush pen. You just want it to be barely moist. And that will also give you a lot more control. And I'll start out with the darkest shade, and then I will clean off my brush so that I have clean, clear water. I have a very clean brush tip. And then I'm going to start pulling the color downward. As I pull it downward, I'm going to get variations of shades. It's going to get a little lighter. But the beauty is, with the ink, I am going to keep that strong color at the base. It's not going to dilute. It's going to give you this beautiful variation in color. You'll notice I go off camera quite a bit with my hand with the paintbrush. And what I'm doing over there, and maybe in the next video I'll try to move my ink off cloth a little closer so you can see it. And I'm just dabbing my brush onto the ink off cloth and drying it a little bit so that I never have too much water on my brush, and that just gives me a lot of control. And then I'm also rinsing the brush in a little bit of clear water. You can, squeegee a little bit out from the water brush pen and then dry your brush on your ink off cloth or a paper towel or something like that. And then I go into the areas and then I just smooth the edges of the color I just put on. Now here you can see I am adding clean clear water to the whole face and the body of the bird, but I'm not doing the wing yet. Then I'm going to dip into my color, and I'm going to get that really nice deep rich tone, and I'm going to put a little bit under the hat because you'll have a little darker color there with the shadowing, a little bit under the wing, and it's just such a pretty blue. So I'm also going to then dip into some clear water again, you'll see, and I'll start pulling the color down so I have a lighter shade, and that's where I'm getting my variance. But you'll see the pigment is not diluting to the point where it washes all the really rich color away. Now if I want to get a lighter tone, I can put a little bit on my mat and then add a little more water to it, dip into that, and that's how I'm getting this lighter shade that I'm putting under the chin area. So what's really amazing and wonderful about this ink is I can get really deep tones and really light tones and mid-tones. So you've really got a range of color to play with when you're coloring all these cute little images. So then I took a little clear water and I put it on the wing. And the reason I put clear water in sections is because the section that I do not put the clear water in is the paint's not going to bleed into that section. The paint is only going to move into the section that I originally put clean clear water. So now I'm putting a little darker tone on the little tail, cleaning off my brush, and again a nice just barely damp brush and pulling that color upward this time to get a lighter color up at the top of the tail. And then I can go in and add a little more a deeper tone, and then just blend it out. Now this ink is also very, very buttery, which also makes it move and glide on the paper really easily, and it's very forgiving. So if I make a mistake, I can always go back in with a little more water and smooth it out. Now I'm going back to the other little bird that is pretty dry now, and I wanted to add just a little more richness to the bottom of the chin. With this ink, I can layer, and what's really great about that is once a section is dry, I can now go in and layer a deeper tone on top. So as I continue to layer and layer and layer, it'll be a little bit deeper, darker shade. So you can just really play with it and have a lot of fun. Some of the smaller areas, and you'll notice I think the tail on the bird with the little hat, I did dry technique. So I did not wet that section, because if you're working sometimes in a little tiny area on these little stamps, you might want to have a dry piece to work with, put your ink on, and then pull it with the dampened brush because it's such a small section. So as you can see on this little bird, I did the same technique because I'm going to be coloring a large area all the way around the head. I used clean clear water and dampened the whole section, so that when I add my color, it's going to start blending right as I add it. And then I can just go onto the edge with more clean, clear water, and you'll hear me say that a lot, and blend the edges out. And I'm going to be pulling out a little bit of the lighter tones from the darker tones. And so it just makes coloring really easy because it's so buttery and smooth. It's all gliding and blending, and I'm not getting any harsh edges. It's just really pretty and soft in some areas and rich and dark in others, which gives a lot of interest to your painting. If you're a beginner at this, what's really great is this ink, like I said earlier, is very, very forgiving. It doesn't suck into the paper to the point where you can't move it around even a little bit later. And it does dry fairly quickly too. So, and even after it dries, you can come back and rework your sections without pilling your paper up, without leaving a bunch of water stains or watermarks. So it just makes things so much easier and so much fun. And you can see I am actually painting this in real time. So I have not sped this video up or anything like that. This is actually the process, how long it took me to color these. The only parts I edited out were maybe when I cleaned my brush for a little too long and I was thinking about something else, like someone in my family asking for something to eat or something like that, of course. Those kind of interruptions. So anyway, I'm going to use some of the Atelier Bee Sting Yellow. We're going to use a little for these adorable little beaks, and you can see I'm just dipping into my ink pad, and I have a fairly dry paintbrush. The tip is just barely moist, but I can dip right into the pad and then right onto the paper. So it makes the process really, really easy. And that's how I get my deep tones, is I'm going directly from the pad into the paper. If I wanted a lighter shade of the Bee Sting Yellow, I would dip into the pad. I'd put a little on my palette, and you will see me do that in this video when I color that little flower. I'm going to want it to be pink. So you can lighten the tone by putting a little bit on your palette and adding a little water to it. But for the yellow, I just wanted a nice rich tone. So then I'm going to get some clear water and then just do a little bit lighter at the top of that hat. And now you can just see that they're just really starting to pop with adding just that tiny bit of pop of yellow. So as you can see, it's all been really easy so far and really quick. So I'm going to grab some Maryland Red, and this is where I'm going to put a little bit from the pad with a little bit more water on my water brush and put it on there with the water, and I'm going to get a nice light pink color. So again, you're going to get that nice deep red, or you can get that nice pale pink, which I wanted to do for the flowers. So I've got a lot of options with just one color ink pad, and I just love how quick and easy this was. So we're really almost done, and I think they turned out super cute. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative and fun, and if so, please hit the subscribe button. Aren't those adorable? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.